Good morning, everybody. I'll take your smile as a good morning because I can't hear you. So smile is good. It's good enough. Namaste. Very nice. Welcome. Well, actually, tell me something. How have you been? Would you like to share something about your, how is your practice moving along? I'd like to hear something from you to start. If you notice something, what did you notice? And yeah, just that. Mickey, let's unmute you.
Good morning, Shastra. Good
Good
morning, everyone.
morning. Good morning.
I want to share with you something about thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
After the last time, I was very aware of my thoughts this week. And it was interesting because it's shocking how much nonsense I think. and, and
Welcome to the club.
oh, and, and what my ego mind delves up from the past in just when I'm cooking or when I'm brushing my teeth or whatever. So I was very aware of that, but it helped to be aware of it, and then, as you said, they go away. The interesting thing, though, is I noticed two other kinds of thoughts that I have a lot of, as it's daydreaming. And I think they're healthy thoughts because it's always happy. It's something that's very positive. And the other kind of thoughts are thoughts that pop into my mind, but it's in the future. It's like something that I see that's going to to manifest one day, and those are the thoughts that I actually capture in my art journals, and I paint pictures about them, and they are interesting because there's an evolution, um, and that's in fact how I came to live in France, because I had thoughts like that and I captured them and eventually they materialized. So it's they manifested.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe it's interesting, or it was interesting for me to notice these three kinds of thoughts that I had. But the nonsense thoughts, the fact that I was aware of them, I got a lot more done this week and this past week. And in my meditation, um, I, I I was still. I didn't have a problem with so many thoughts. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very quiet in my meditations.
Mickey, what was the third one? One was the manifesting, one was the nonsense. What was the third one? Type of
Daydreaming.
daydreaming. Okay.
Yeah, I do a lot of that. I wasn't aware of it.
Well, don't worry, we all do. As a matter of fact, um, I often say we are always daydreaming because thoughts are a form of dreams, most of the time. It's only dreams are visual because they come from the subconscious, and the subconscious communicates not through language, but through images and sensations and feelings.
Yes.
And apparently before language existed, before we created a language with words, and then we, at a certain point, we even started finding a way to write it, we were talking through telepathy. That's what animals do still. They
Yeah.
communicate, but not. They don't have a language as such. They don't have a conceptual language, but they have images, and they transmit through that. And I read an interesting book of, I think it was called A Walk Down Under. I don't know if you guys, anybody read it, but it's from a, a journalist, probably, or a writer anyway, that went for a walk in Australia with the Aboriginal tribe. And in this book, yeah, he talks about that, like they were walking for hours and hours, and then suddenly something happened, as if they all knew what was going on now, but nobody has spoken. So it was like, wait a second, what? How do they know what's happening? How do they communicate with each other? And it took him a while to realize, oh, they actually don't need to talk. They are still connected with that
Yeah.
ancestral um, way of communicating, which is not through conceptual thinking and conceptual words, but through images. And so we all had it, and we forgot.
Yeah.
We
And
forgot it.
it's something you can develop because I can communicate with animals. For
Yes.
instance, my cat, I don't have a cat, the little thing that he can come in and out on by his own.
Yeah.
But I explained to him that I will get his message, and every time I know when he's at the door,
Yeah, exactly.
and I open it.
Because we all have it. We had it, and we used it, but now we just have to dust it off, but it's still there.
It's still there. Something else that you mentioned about, the feeling, that's also what goes along with the thoughts. I was aware of what happens in my body when I have nonsense thoughts. There's a lot of tension. And then when you become aware of it, it goes away. The tension in your body goes away. And
Yes.
it's funny where you feel it. I feel it like in my arms and my tummy and in my heart.
Mhm.
It's like my arms get all stressed up in my hands.
Yes.
And then the moment you're aware of it, it's like, whew, it just releases.
Well, it's good you can release it, because sometimes I even become aware of some tensions and I can't release them. But it's very good what you're saying. It's exactly like that, because the more we start observing what's happening, the more we realize that every thought is a tension, it creates a tension in the body. Because most of the thoughts are nothing but, what are they? We were saying the mind is never in the present. Well, that's exactly it. So every thought is taking us away from the present moment. So we're thinking something that either hasn't happened yet or it did happen. But most of the time, it's away from the present moment. So it creates a tension in the continuum of consciousness, which is always present. And so that tension is perceived in the body. And then each of us somatize that tension in different part of the body. For me, for example, I notice in the morning when I start waking up, I'm still sleeping. When I start thinking, my jaws started contracting and my teeth start touching each other. And I know that. Oh, and then I realize, oh, I'm thinking. It's amazing. It's immediate. Or during the day, I notice it in my lower back most of the time when I'm ahead of myself, when I'm not right in the present, but I'm a step ahead. I notice that there is a little bit of a contracting in my lower back. So this is very good. This comes with observation. The deeper you observe yourself, the more you notice these kind of things. Absolutely. That's very good. And of course, once you are aware, you can release the tension. If you are not aware, the tension remains or it even builds up.
Yes.
Yeah. And so just to finish what I was saying before, thoughts are, we could say that thoughts are also a form of daydreaming of dreams, as much as dreams are a form of thoughts. Only dreams are visual and thoughts are conceptual. So dreams are connected with the subconscious. They speak the language of the subconscious, that is through images. And thoughts speak the language of the mind, of the conceptual mind, of the egoic mind. So it's language and thoughts and words. But same thing, eh? It's still the mind that cannot stop. So thinking has become a compulsive behavior for modern man, and dreams are also. So apparently, the more aware you become of what's going on inside, the more not only the thoughts tends to slow down, or at least they don't have that grip on you anymore, but also dreams starts changing. And there is a point, according to what my master told me, this is not my experience yet, where actually dreaming stops in the night. You are simply aware, even though your body is sleeping. You can be simply present and aware, and there is no dreaming happening. And this is not my experience yet. I dream a lot. and I'm always fascinated to wake up, usually around 5 in the morning, all of a sudden, and remembering, wow, this dream was amazing. What was it? Oh, yeah. And feeling that, it's always amazing to observe dreams, to remember them. So, and yes, to answer your question, I don't know, no, there was not a question, there was a sharing actually, but there is a form of thinking that is, we often say first comes the thought and then it comes the manifestation of that thought. Yeah. So that is also true. You can have a clear vision of what you want to happen, and the more clear is that vision, the more likely that that vision will manifest.
Yes. But in my case, it's not something I want. It's it pops into my mind like a little thing, and then it comes again, and
Yes.
after 2 months again and again. So it happens over a long period, and
Yeah,
it's
that is more a perception of what will happen in the future for
yes,
you.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And in meditation, what I found, and that with the anchors is, it's thanks to the anchors, is when the thoughts come, there are days when they come quickly and a lot. But when you're aware of them, then as you said, they slow down, and eventually. After the meditation, I realized that there was a long period that I'm not aware that I had thoughts.
Yeah.
I was, it's like there was nothing.
It's a little surprising, no? When
Yeah.
it happens, it's
It,
like, hey,
it,
I'm not thinking, what's wrong?
it,
We're so used to fill every little space with thinking. When thinking stops, your mind definitely feels uneasy, but even yourself is like, wow, look at that. Then there's nothing happening,
yes.
no movement. And then just space and stillness. Yeah. That's the time when we connect more directly with our true self. We were looking at it last time. Remember, we looked at the structure of the ego and the little original self. And we said, okay, there are three qualities that connect us directly to that true self, and they are silence, space, and stillness, the S Trinity. Any of these three qualities will connect us, will plunge us into the original self, or our impersonal nature, as I like to call it. So when there is space and silence, means the mind is not filling up the space, and there is not the chattering of the mind, and there is stillness. That's a space to just be and explore that. Oh, because we forgot that that's actually a natural state, our natural state. Where we're so used to watch the mind and a million things manifesting constantly that we're so unfamiliar with that space. So when it happens, definitely dive in, take that opportunity to just like, oh, wow, okay, let me just be in this space. Or even better say, let me be this space. Because that's what we are. Consciousness is that space in which everything is perceived. We are that. Mm-hmm. So this is excellent. When that happens, take the plunge. Don't hesitate. And, also be watchful, because the mind will try to sneak in, because the mind needs movement. It needs to step away from the present in order to function. So you will notice a little thoughts that is sneaking in from the back door. But what are we gonna have for breakfast afterwards? Or like, oh, what? But that thing that happened yesterday, and then just notice it as it starts to rise, that thought, and just say, no, thank you, not needed now. Let me enjoy this space, and we rest as much as we can. And sometimes you don't catch the thought that it arises. Then you catch it after a minute or two that, a thought has been going all around the world. The story, I created a big story out of nothing. It's okay. You still notice it. And in the moment you notice it, we release it. And actually noticing itself releases the thought, because we remove the fuel from it, which is our attention. So in that moment, our attention separates from the thought, and the thought deflates like a balloon that is losing the air, just like, and we're back in the present. So every time there is no mind, we are present. And so now I'm moving along. I'm not really answering you, Miki. I'm just obviously talking to everybody. This is the work and the practice of mindfulness, is exploring this space between two thoughts. Yeah, when that thought deflated, and before the next one starts, what is in that space between two thoughts? Sitting there, let yourself be in there. Why is that important? What's the big deal with this space, with this silence? Well, if we had to define consciousness, it's undefinable, right? But the closest way to define it for me is the inner space in which everything is perceived. So it's space. And when there is no object in this space, which means no thoughts, no emotions, no particular perceptions that catches our attention. Yeah, so there is a non-activity. There's just space and silence and stillness. So when we are unoccupied, when our mind is unoccupied with anything and it's quiet, what is left is this space in which everything is perceived. That is consciousness. So we are so not used, as we were saying, to feel consciousness, to feel that space, because we fill it with stuff. Yeah, perception, object, feeling, emotions, thoughts, planning, remembering. There's always like, it's filled. This space is filled with stuff. But this stuff are the objects, and we are the subject. And the subject is the witnessing self that is observing all this. So when you notice, oh my God, I was lost in thinking, that is your witnessing self. It's not your mind that is noticing your mind. No, it's your witnessing self, is your consciousness that notices the thought, and the thought stops. And the witnessing remains actually more strong than before when the mind stops. So the more empty this inner space is, the more we start perceiving the witnessing self. Yeah. And vice versa. The more we think and we are occupied doing things and and the less we are aware of the witnessing self. So the practice for us is that exactly, to streamline, to empty, to clean up, to release all that is unnecessary, to find this empty space, because in that empty space, we can start perceiving our true self, which I also call the witnessing self, which is something that was there when we were born, like in that drawings we looked at last week. Yeah, that is the original self. It's a witnessing consciousness, another way to say it. So through practice, we start going back to be able to perceive that original self. That's why witnessing is so important, because it's what consciousness does. Consciousness witnesses. Consciousness is conscious, is aware of everything. So the very nature of consciousness is witnessing. So slowly we become more aware that there is a witness, that there is a witness in self, and that we are that. We are not all the object and the phenomenon that are happening within our inner space and outer space. We are the witness in self that is never changing, that is always there, that has always been there, and will always be there. The rest is phenomena, including the body. Well, let's not go there now because it could go really deep. Yeah. So it's a process that I love a word that Gurdjieff used to use, which is a crystallization. So there is a crystallization of the witnessing self. So it becomes more and more perceived. We become more and more clear. Oh, that's what it is. That's who I am. I'm not all these thoughts. I'm not all these emotions. I'm not even the body. I am this witnessing consciousness. So in order to let that perception crystallize, that we start feeling, oh, there is another me, which is not what I'm used to, which is the egoic mind, but is this witness. But in order to feel the witness, and it's easier to feel it, and in order to be able to slowly crystallize it, we have to practice this witnessing, the observation in all details, from what you described, Miki. It's like, oh, when there is a thought, I feel a little tension, and then it's transmitted in a certain part of my body. Beautiful. Now, who is seeing that? It's your witnessing consciousness that is noticing. It's your awareness. Yeah, that is the practice. So through time, that awareness becomes more and more crystallized. And suddenly the mind cannot come in and take you away and sweep you away and make you crazy, or make you believe whatever it wants anymore, because you are finding your center again. Yeah, you're no more centered in your mind, you're centered in yourself. Yeah, so that's the process of slow crystallization that happened through the practice of mindfulness. This is very important because we practice, and sometimes, we have to have a clear understanding. Well, why am I practicing? Well, it makes me feel a little more relaxed. That's good. Okay, but deeper than that, why are we sitting? Why are we practicing mindfulness? And then in everyday life, we still practice presence through mindfulness in action. So whatever we do, yeah, we drink that cup of tea that we talked about in the beginning with presence, yeah, with full awareness. We walk with awareness. We sit with awareness. We talk to a friend, or we listen to a friend talking with presence. That is also part of crystallization, the process of crystallization. So it's an ongoing process, so we can add and refine this and support this crystallization almost 24 hours a day. In the sleep, it's still difficult, but we deal with the conscious part now, yeah? So whatever 16 hours we have during the day, I don't know how long you sleep, but let's say 16 hours, we can simply be present. And in this way, not only we're helping our process to unfold, because that's why we're here. Consciousness wants to evolve, as we said last time. So not only we help our work to unfold, it will also give you a very different quality of life, because suddenly when you're more present, you appreciate everything more. You're more sensitive, so you perceive everything more. You're more alive. You're more relaxed because the mind is not making you crazy, Even if it's there, you don't believe it as much, less and less. So you're more and more free. You're more lighthearted eventually. Sometimes we have to go across dark valleys too. That's fine. We go through sadness, darkness. We go through everything because we include everything. Yeah, choiceless awareness. But eventually this process, I can assure you, and this is my experience, it will make you more and more lighthearted. You will feel more and more light, more and more happy without any reason, just because you're becoming more free, without noticing it, because it's such a slow process, It's so slow that if you sit in front of a rosebud, and you try to watch it opening, it's not moving, right? It's not opening, and yet it is. And then if you turn around and you look 3 hours later, it has to open, and you go, oh shit, it opened. So that process is like that. The inner process, the inner flowering is like that. You don't notice it as much, but it's always happening. And then a year later, you go like, oh my God, I remember what I was thinking a year ago. I think so different now. I feel so different. I am so different. I behave so different. Then you realize there was a progression. And then you start feeling more lighthearted, more happy. It was like, what? You laugh more for no reason at all. I laugh by myself for no reason at all, just because I feel like laugh. Sometimes I walk, maybe I spend the whole day in the house doing my thing, and then I said, let's go for a walk. My body wants to move, and I go out. And just being outside and seeing the sky and the clouds and the trees and the fresh air, I start laughing. It was like, well, Shasta, you're crazy. Why are you laughing? Oh, because I feel so good to be here outside and seeing all this and breathe this fresh air. How can I express that joy? So I laugh. So things like that happen, slowly, slowly. It's a process and it takes work. It takes consciousness. It takes awareness. It takes commitment in a certain way. But commitment, I don't like that word, because truly all you need to do is to listen to your heart. Listen to what this longing that your self has, and it's pulling at you, is tagging and say, hey, remember me? I'm here. Yeah, that's your true self calling you. So actually, that word commitment is like yes and no. All you have to do is to listen, feel, listen to your heart. Listen to this longing in your heart that is calling you. And then you're on the right path. And there is a point that it's effortless, actually. There's no commitment needed because you can't help it by be yourself. At a certain point, it becomes like the dams open and the river just flows towards the ocean because it cannot do anything else. In the beginning, you find dams and obstacles and rocks that are blocking the flow of the water, and you just slowly remove them one by one. And then suddenly the river is like, wow, rushing and flowing towards the ocean. And there is no holding back. There's no, there's no need of any discipline or any commitment. It just happens because it's your very nature that is going towards itself. And that becomes really easy. And there is no choice. There's no going back. That's the good news. That's a great feeling. The river carries you to the ocean. All right. Well, see, Mickey, what you started, you just said a few things, and then it's like sometimes like somebody pushed the button and this guy starts talking. But it's beautiful, no? This is all stuff that needs to be said. It needs to be understood.
Thank you, Shastra, because it's after last week, it was, I don't know, something happened during the meditation last week. It was just, something opened for me. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
And thank you for all your comments. It's wonderful. It's wonderful to be here.
Yeah, it is wonderful to be together. We just create the environment, and then we wait. That's our work. We are present, alert, relaxed. We observe, we watch. We create this space, this environment. Also being together, it reinforces that. And then whatever needs to be revealed will be revealed in that space. There's no need to do it. You cannot do it. You cannot force it. You cannot force understanding or force awakening. It just happens as a result of your homework, which is bringing presence to everything. So we can only create the environment for that to happen, and then enjoy being here and observe and watch and be present. Okay. So that's enough talking, I think. But if you have any doubt about what was expressed or anything you want to add to that, please do so. Jennifer, where are you?
Me, Corfu.
Where?
Corfu.
Where's that?
Corfu in Greece. You've been.
Oh, Corfu.
Yeah, I met you years ago at Sound and Silence.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
very lucky to be here.
Did you move there? Are you living there?
I did, yes. And I'm from England, but I managed to get my permit so I can stay, which is really good news.
Lovely English accent indeed.
Thank you.
Good. Yeah, Corfu is a beautiful place to be.
Very. It's like a little bubble of safety away from the world right now.
Yes.
It's just a very simple life, living off the land and, kind of just going back to how it's meant to be.
Wonderful. And you know what? There's a lot of people moving in that direction in these days because the outer world is becoming so crazy. Now, it's always been crazy, but now it's more crazy. And it is good. It is good because then you can see it exactly for what it is. It's madness. And you see the contrast between yourself, your true self, and the world is becoming so obvious. There's such a polarization that in a way, my master used to say, in the time of deep crisis within the society, you have the most awakening happening, the most enlightened people popping up, because there's nothing you can rely on the outside anymore. So all this energy has to go back in towards the center. And a lot of people are feeling that, which is very good. It's like sanity within the madness. The more the madness becomes obvious, the more sanity is calling you in. So it's a great thing what's happening, even though it's not always pleasant. But a lot of people are moving also from the city to the countryside, back to nature, searching for that environment that is a little more sane. Or, in whatever way, creating a more safe environment for themselves in which to live. And meditating more, Also, a lot of people are coming to meditation, which is great too. So all is good. Everything that is happening is what needs to happen. Even though it might be time like, why is this happening? What the heck is going on? But existence has its ways, And so we just go with the flow. Just go where the river takes us. And learn to practice. And through practice, learn to separate the world from yourself. Yeah, and don't let the world come in your inner space. Your inner space is your temple. It's your sacred inner space. Let the world out, including your mind, because the mind is a byproduct of that world. So slowly, letting the mind put it aside and focus on the inner space, on that silence, on that stillness, on that presence, sense of presence. That witnessing self. And enjoy life. Because it's really something to be enjoyed, not something to be suffered through, even though the world has told you otherwise. It's not a coincidence that Christians have the symbol of the Christians is Jesus on the cross. It's like the epitome of suffering. Well, that's not what life is. Let me tell you a secret. Life is not about suffering, it's about rejoicing in the amazing gift that it is to be in this body and in this world, which doesn't mean that you will not go through dark valleys and suffering, but you will see the bottom of it and you'll come out through awareness and free yourself from that weight of that concept that life is suffering because it's the other way around. And again, that doesn't mean that we don't have to go through sadness and through dark spaces, anguish, loneliness. But now we have the tools to observe all this that is happening. We don't get identified. So that's another thing that will start happening. You will stop saying, oh, I'm so sad today. And you will choose different words that are more appropriate. You will say, there is sadness inside today. See the difference? It's not I am sad, but there is sadness. You see the difference? There's a separation. So you're not identified with that sadness. I am sadness. I am sad. But I am noticing that there is sadness. Huge difference, even though it seems small. One brings you freedom. The other one, you completely identify with it, and there's not much you can do. And same with the mind. Oh, you know, my mind is, I don't believe the thought anymore. Usually we believe every thought that comes as if it's like the truth. This is going to happen or this happened. It's exactly like that. You go like, oh, then suddenly you go like, oh, look at that thought, you know. It's trying to make me believe that, blah, 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 blah. Well, I don't buy it because it's just my mind talking as usual. Let me rest in this space of not knowing and see what I feel, what happens. So that happens also. So sorry, we create a separation from what we usually would get identified with, mainly thoughts and emotions. And one thing we didn't say about emotions is that a lot of emotions, and most of them, are generated by a thought. So if you really observe, a lot of the time there is first a thought and then an emotions that follows. Not always, but a lot of the time. Emotions are just a body response to a thought. A lot of the time. That's also to be observed. It means you believe that thought so much that it creates an emotion in you. So if you have a scary thought, even though there is nothing to be afraid of, your heart starts beating fast and it creates an emotion of fear. But that came from the scary thought. So again, observation and awareness of this inner process brings you freedom because you start feeling, well, okay, that's what my mind is saying, but I don't feel like that and I don't want to feel like that. So goodbye thought, I don't need you in this moment. You see, that's freedom. Then you're free to feel what you really feel and not what your mind wants you to feel. And you're, yeah. And you're free to laugh for no reason at all, even though your mind says, you're crazy. What are you laughing about? I don't know. I just feel like laughing. Do I have to have a reason? You know, the mind will say, hey, you're losing it, dude. All this practice is not doing you good. You're losing it. You mind, you can say whatever you want. Let me enjoy myself. Yeah. That's what happens. Okay, shut me up, give me a tape, put it here. And now we go into a practice together. And we practice all this beautiful thing we shared. So sit comfortable, lean back if you need to, but try to keep your back straight as much as you can. One day you will see why that is important. I'm not going to tell you why. But again, if you have back problem or you need to lean back, fine. Just maybe put a pillow on the lower back so you're not like falling asleep, but stay awake. And aligning your neck and spine. Whenever you're ready, you close your eyes. And start bringing your attention, yes, your attention inward. Starting from feeling the body from inside. How does it feel now? Noticing. Is there some area that needs a little more attention because it's holding something maybe? Then you bring your attention there and release whatever you're holding. Feeling like everything is like melting inside. Slowly as you relax more the body, everything melts and falls towards the earth, towards the ground. Let it all fall down. Give it to Mother Earth. She can take a lot. No problem. And feel that pull of the earth on your body. Feel the weight, the sense of weight. Enjoy that too as you relax. Start feeling more heavy. Feeling where the body is touching the chair or the cushion. Feel the weight on your butt, on your legs. Let yourself sink down, sink in and sink down. Nice feeling of relaxations coming to the body and a feeling of being more and more grounded in that place where you're in right now. Rooted, connected to earth in the here and now. You can also feel a little pull upwards on the top of your head, or you can imagine a thread coming down from the sky that attaches to your crown. And gives you just a very gentle lift that allows you to align your neck and spine more easily. Yeah, so we allow the pull of the earth and a gentle tug from the sky. And we sit between these two energies. in perfect balance. As the body keeps relaxing, we perceive the space that is between earth and sky, our inner space. And anything that arises within that space, we just watch it. We watch it arising, existing, and disappearing again. Every experience is impermanent. So, what doesn't change is your witnessing self. The only permanent thing that doesn't change is that witnessing self. So we allow ourselves to just be in this space. If nothing happens, even better. Just enjoy being in that space, that presence. We observe, we keep feeling the body. We observe anything that is perceived. We notice the movement of the breathing as floating, as if it's floating in this space. Right in the middle of it, there is this beautiful rhythm of the breath. Just let it be. Let it be relaxed and natural. Enjoy it. Enjoy that movement. Enjoy the fresh air coming in and then going out. Notice how it's happening without you doing anything. What a magical, beautiful thing it is. As if you're noticing that it's life, existence itself breathing through you, through your body. Beautiful sensation when you feel that. And notice that you can move your attention wherever you want. Sometime it will move by itself to experience something different within your inner space. It's okay. It's totally okay. If something calls for your attention, you notice that you're moving your attention to that. It's like putting a spotlight or turning on a flashlight and illuminating that thing where your attention is going. Your attention is that beam of light. So it might move from the breathing to hearing a sound, the sound of my voice, to the feeling of groundedness, rootedness of the body, to the sky energy, or maybe some feelings, some emotions that are arising. Anything that requires our attention or simply does not require, but it's the way attention plays and moves. And we can be aware of many things at the same time also, and rest in that. Because awareness is 360 degrees. So we can be aware of everything at the same time too. So we notice that it moves in different ways. Sometimes like a beam of light, and sometimes like a big flame that includes everything. Most important is that we keep letting go, relaxing, realizing that there is no effort needed at all to be aware, to be present. It's not a doing, but it's a natural state of being. When we are relaxed, we are aware and we are present. Nothing to be achieved. Just being. Slowly coming back. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Your faces are more relaxed than before. I'm wondering why. Everybody looks like. Beautiful. Who is trying to have a regular sitting practice during the week? Aura, good. Who else is trying to have a regular practice? Petra, Jennifer, Miki, Benasha, everybody. Excellent, everybody. I'm proud of you. Who is trying to be mindful when during the day as well? Who remembers to do that? That's good. A few people are even trying that. Very, very good. Yeah, maybe in the beginning it requires a little discipline, but then it happens by itself. In the beginning, yeah. But again, if you just listen to how you want to be, who you want to be, how you want to live your life, you're going to come down to this again and again. As we were saying before, awareness is our natural state. That's not something we have to create. We just empty the space from all the stuff that is covering the awareness, all that traffic of thoughts and things that are filling up that space, slowly just empty more and more and more. Remove all that is unnecessary, and then what is left is awareness. Absolutely. We are actually undoing. Instead of doing, we are undoing. We're not trying to do something, we're trying to not to do something. Just remove unnecessary doing, inner and outer. Yeah. And then what is left is awareness, presence. If anybody wants to share something before we close the session, this is the time. Otherwise, I'd leave you in this beautiful, relaxed space to move on with the rest of your day. Okay. So, I will see you next Friday. Wait, see if I can unmute you all. So I'll see you Friday, and many hugs Kisses.
Thank you.
Namaste to everybody.
Namaste.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you,
Next week,
Shastra.
it was beautiful as always to be with you.
Very beautiful.
And
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
much love.
Thank you.